Hello, my name is Andy and I am the Village Idiot. I'm armed with a car and a GoPro and an unhealthy amount of time on my hands. I'm using that time to attempt to visit every civil parish in England. You're watching the West Lindsey series. This is one of the 9 districts of Lincolnshire and one of the county's most rural. It has 128 civil parishes. Let's see which one this episode's all about. Right, today in West Lindsey I've got a really small one for you. That small, it doesn't have any population information or any demographics or anything like that. But what it does have on that hill over there, which you might be able to see through the trees, but it doesn't matter if you can't because we're about to walk to it, is a large column. That's the Somerby Monument. Welcome to Somerby. The West Lindsey series is sponsored by Gainsborough Cycles 01427 617 752. For all your cycling needs, this is your one-stop shop, located at 20 Ropery Road or online at gainsboroughcycles.com. There's a link in the description. Gainsborough Cycles, ask for Trevor Halstead. Here's my disclaimer for people who may be watching me for the first time. I say things as I would in my native accent and dialect. As a result, I may not pronounce things in the same way as the locals do. Remember, I'm a visitor. It's impossible to know everything. Leave me a comment, spin me a like and bash that subscribe button. Let's get to today's parish video. Somerby, sometimes known as Somerby juxta Bigby, is situated approximately 4 miles east of the town of Brigg, lying within the Lincolnshire Wolds, a designated area of outstanding natural beauty. It's between the villages of Bigby and Somerby. With very few properties, this is a blink and you'll miss it kind of place. It once had a hall. Somerby Hall was for many years the seat of the Weston family. It was purchased in the 1740s by Edward Weston, the son of the Bishop of Exeter, the Right Reverend Stephen Weston. It was demolished in 1964. Overlooking Somerby village, there's a monument that was commissioned in 1770 by Edward Weston and built by the architect John Carr of York. It was built to commemorate the rather unusual time span of 29 years of marriage for Edward and Ann Weston of Somerby Hall. Why it couldn't have been a nice round 30 years is beyond me.
So, this is a monument to commemorate 29 years of marriage. Me and Andy have been married for nearly 4 years. He's got 25 years to save up for something like this. The bar has been set.
It is, without a doubt, Somerby's largest and most well-known landmark. An ashlar doric column topped by an urn, it's Grade 2 listed, and originally it had a Latin inscription on the south face. Somerby is another village that's located on the Viking Way, the long-distance footpath that links the Humber Bridge to Rutland. It's definitely now a channel favourite, this. Rather unsurprisingly, Somerby's size means it has no amenities of note. There are no shops, nor is there a post office. The nearest primary schools are in Barnetby le Wold or Grasby. One thing Somerby does have is a vineyard, which is located behind these houses on Somerby Green according to the map. It covers some 16 acres. They produce both wine and Lincolnshire cider. From Easter through to mid-September, Somerby vineyards take bookings for tours and tastings around the vineyard and winery. Tours last 2 hours, taken by a minimum of 20 people per group. Wine was first introduced and cultivated in England by the Romans around 2,000 years ago, where it was consumed in private villas and farms. During this time, the native English were prohibited from planting vineyards, but with the increase of Christianity, churches and monasteries, they required wine for sacramental purposes. They often built vineyards on their land, and that was all well and good until the dissolution of the monasteries in 1536. English wine production had all but ceased by the early 20th century. It wasn't until after the Second World War that new vineyards were planted and the challenge of producing English wine was taken up again. Today, there are over 500 vineyards in England. Several medieval artefacts and Roman coins have been unearthed at Somerby Vineyard. That brings us to the church, which stands on this hillside between Somerby Green and where we began. The parish church was once described as a small, uninteresting edifice. It's a Grade II listed building and it's dedicated to St Margaret. It dates from the 13th century with later additions. So despite the fact this churchyard looks very overgrown, Nikki tells me this is still an active churchyard because
there's some small cremation plots which have got recently placed flowers and things on them, so yeah, even though it just needs a good mow, unless they're just letting spring flowers, wildflowers grow for the bees, who knows.
St Margaret's was restored in 1884 and 1885 by H.M. Townsend of Peterborough. An effigy of a knight dating from the late 13th century lies on the south side of the nave. There are some very recent graves, but also some very old ones in the churchyard. This one was of interest. The young lady interred here was aged just 11 years old, a former resident of Somerby House. One thing I didn't expect to find here was a parish notice board because it's so small. However, the church didn't let me down. Here's one on the wall. In the chancel niches are two marble urns dedicated to two sons of the Weston family who died in the service of the East India Company in 1762 and 1767 respectively. Edward Weston is commemorated by a large marble wall plaque on the north wall of the chancel. He died in 1770 and was a member of the Privy Council of Ireland. And to be honest, that's really it, apart from this pond, which isn't really a pond in truth. It was just described as one by Nikki before I took this shot. It's just where water collects off the hill. So there's no picture bit for this one today because it's far too small. I mean, what else is there to show you? I mean, I've shown you the monument, the church, a few of the houses. I've talked a bit about the vineyard, the tiny little village pond, as Nikki called it. It's not really a pond, but...
Well, the time we've been here, like half an hour or so, I think we've seen one car, and that was the postman's van.
Yeah,
nice and
essential
quiet.
Service. So what do you think of Somerby, Nikki?
Yeah, it's lovely. It's quiet, it's peaceful. All I can hear is like the birds tweeting and a bit of wind rustling through the trees. I'd live here, you know, just get some donations in that box down below. We'd both move here, but we'd need the money. I think you need a bank balance, like a telephone number, to even consider a house out here.
Well, there's no average house price for this one because it's so small. There's no information, so I imagine you probably do need quite a bit of money looking at the property out here.
Yeah,
it's not going to be a case of just buying it on the cheap, is it?
Some gorgeous properties, although there is a tumble down sort of shack in the churchyard. You know, it's a one room joint. Could we manage in that maybe?
No.
Oh, okay.
I think I'm a bit more needy than that. Anyway, time for me to move on to my next one here in West Lindsey, which you'll see next week. I've been Andy, and she's been Nikki, and I've been the Village Idiot, and I'm out.